you are creating a pop-up store, you should be delivering an experience. Like your product should already be good, and your product is going to be what sits on the shelf, but what you have is an opportunity for a customer, whether it's new or existing, to walk into the lifestyle of your brand. So that's my number one. Whether you have a big budget or a small budget, everything about it, you should keep that in mind. If it's do-it-yourself and you're going to bring a furniture sponsor, what would your person want to sit on? Any strategic partners that you bring in or any calendar events, it should all further the lifestyle message and the promise of your brand and your product, so that's what's engraved in their head. When we did the J. Hilburn store, all the partners we brought in, we had that in mind. Everything from what the man would eat to drink, to listen to, so we didn't just have any bottled water, we had Fred water. The bottle looks like a flask, and it's cool, and it's hip, and you know, it's an emerging startup company that had a great social media presence. When we looked for a watch sponsor, we brought in Daniel Wellington Watches, who kills it on Instagram, whereas J. Hilburn is really strong with traditional press, so they were able to cross channels that way. The snack was this energy-infused perky jerky. Everything about that was new to this market as well, so when they walked away from the store, they thought of this cool store where they had this perky jerky and this water bottle that they love, and everything about it reminded them of the lifestyle message of the J. Hilburn brand. If I would say there's one thing that I would encourage not to do is, just because the pop-up is short-term in nature, your planning shouldn't be. And I think that no matter whether you get the space for free or not, you should always think about the opportunity cost. Because especially if you're a startup company, your time is your money. And where you're spending time versus doing something else is going to matter down the road. If you collaborate with somebody because it's going to help with the cost of the space or manning the store, but it's the wrong brand or the wrong message to align your brand with, it's going to hurt in the long run because you're going to be putting out a confusing message to the people who should be following and purchasing from your brand.
For something to keep in mind, I'd say go where your people are. You know, try to understand who your audience is for your shop and put it in a place where they're actually living and buying. I don't think a zine shop will work on 55th Street, but it'll work fine in Williamsburg. And then for something not to do, don't underestimate logistics. The back-end production of these things, dealing with finances, paying retail staff, even as simple as like tracking everything for taxes is, you know, it's a pain in the ass, and you have to do it, and it has to be done correctly. And that's, I think sometimes you overlook it because you're focused on the creative, and you know, if you have a producer-minded person who's involved in it, it really helps.
Do we have any questions to the audience? We have a lot of knowledge up here on the actual retail and models. Yes?
Your pop-up that you did for when they're testing the market, did they end up opening a store?
We've done a few where they've tested markets. We've had some that have opened stores. We worked with the KT collection as an example. She's an emerging designer, jewelry designer, started her brand with street fairs, and then moved from street fairs to pop-up stores, and now has a full-time store on the Upper West Side. She used pop-up stores to really teach herself and her team how she was going to translate the differences that were needed from this highly concentrated street fair environment where sales are pretty much always going to come to understanding the lulls and highs of having a brick and mortar space. Some of the other brands we've worked with have decided that they thought the New York market was great, but perhaps the neighborhood, although it was great for press and buzz, wasn't where their customer is. So we have some that are actually coming back again this year and testing a new area where they do see that their customer would probably exist day to day more likely.
I have retail, permanent brick and mortar retail, but I do pop-up shops with my vendors, like at my location. And I also do some of my own pop-ups, like at street fairs and things like that. And I just wanted to say that I think it translates a lot to permanent retail as well. Like the way you think about using your vendors to co-promote. These are all things that I really strive to do.
And we see a lot in our retail customer base, you know, trying new concepts, showcasing a vendor, like you say. There's opportunities to bring a new type of customer into your store by meeting them somewhere else on sort of different grounds and terms.